Story mapping, originally introduced by Jeff Patton, is a powerful visual way to plan Agile projects. Story maps are a way to organize and present information, similar to the concept of a roadmap. However, in story maps, we order users' activities and tasks as they interact with our system. Story maps depict users' activities over time or sequentially. User stories help us to really focus on the user in our planning efforts. When we put them in the context of a story map, it also helps us focus on business value, since that's what helps us determine priority. In user story maps, the horizontal axis shows a high-level overview of the system, meaning if we were to read the cards at the very top, we'd have a high-level understanding of what the system does. So for example, the blue cards on this diagram may say something like log in, enter banking information, and view reports. We can guess that this is probably some type of financial software. The horizontal axis is also ordered based on the order of how users use the system over time. So in the previous example, a user would most likely first log in, then enter banking or transaction information, and then view reports. The first row of the story map is called the walking skeleton and is considered the minimum working version of the system that can provide value to a user. On the vertical axis of a user's story map, we start to get deeper into additional scenarios, more sophisticated use cases, and more robustness. As we go further down the vertical axis, the functionality is less necessary than the top rows. Story mapping has many benefits. First, story mapping helps with knowing what to build first. Story mapping also helps us to build using an iterative approach. It helps us start to see things in terms of building release 1, based on what's most necessary, and then release 2, what's necessary for this iteration, and then release 3, and so forth. Story maps help us to see the scope of a project, and then also to plan our releases at a high level. Story mapping also helps us continue to prioritize the product's backlog, as things may shift in between releases as we're implementing or executing on the plan. Story mapping also has an open approach to the supporting goals and activities of each story. So for example, when we're looking at how to solve or how to implement certain cases, we want to think about things like manual workarounds. What are the different ways that we can implement a requirement that can be the most iterative and open and easiest approach to getting something done? Story mapping allows you to explore those options. In summary, story maps are a visual planning tool that help you organize and present your project plan. Story maps help you to identify what to build first, support an iterative approach, identify scope, help in planning releases, help with prioritizing product backlog, and provide an open approach.